ever played D&D before, chances are you've probably seen one of these. And I think that they're great, but I think we can do better. Hi, I'm Caitlin and welcome to KJ Crafts. Today we will be making a DMing screen with a monitor in it. I've seen a whole bunch of other people do this and their versions will definitely be better than mine, but I wanted to give it a go anyway because I want a tool to keep my players engaged and set a scene. Now you're probably wondering how we're actually going to make this happen. Well, tiny little monitor. It was on sale, so I got it for pretty cheap. I think it was like $75 or something. I've had it for a minute. Um, some foam board, and for all of the detailing, XPF foam. I've never used this stuff before, but I've seen Martina use it enough from Nerdforge that I basically know what I'm doing. So these are mainly what I'm going to be using for the structure of everything. And I've got somewhat of a plan, so let's get started. I started by measuring out how big the actual screen was so then I could work out how much foam I needed to measure and then cut. Foam board is actually a lot more difficult to cut than I remember it being, so this was very annoying. I basically cut out around the edges of the screen where like all of the electrical ports would go in, so all the cables and such, and I basically repeated that a couple of times so that I could have a much thicker foam border around the screen so it had more structure. Alright, and now that the foam is cut, this is how we're looking. It doesn't look like much at the moment, but it's going to. Once I even out everything and make it look all fancy smancy, this is what we're going to be working with. I'm pretty excited. I'm not going to lie. I'm very much looking forward to getting this done. But yeah, I've cut out all of the little bits and bobs it needs reinforcing because I'm not good with knife skills. But yeah, next thing I'm going to be doing is making the next bunch of panels. So I'm just going to have two on either side rather than the four panels that the stock one has. I'm just going to make three, so like the screen at the front and then two side ones, just for size purposes. So yeah, let's get started. To make the wings of it, I basically just traced out my original measurements that I had, cut out extra pieces of foam, and painted everything with contact cement using an old paintbrush so that that would stick together. I also sanded it down so that the edges would be nice and flat. And please, whenever you are using contact cement, please wear at least a mask or something because it is not very good to breathe in, and please use a well ventilated space if you can. My camera died while I was making things. So I finished the outer frame. I've basically just added a bunch of different layers of foam to the back of this. So there's like 3 different layers of foam. I've cut out the 2 side pieces that will go either side of it. And I also added some of the foam that was in the packaging of my monitor. Will sit behind it. So the monitor will go in here and then this will be a back. Because I don't want to have the monitor in there forever, just for like transport reasons, so I can like get it in and out. So I can like take the screen out. So I've bought some neodymium magnets and I'm basically gonna put them on each corner of the frame and like one on either side here and attach them, like sort of cut in and then hot glue them, so then it should stay in place and keep the monitor in place. I'm gonna drill some little holes through or just cut out some little holes in this foam so then it can like have some airflow. So yeah, I also got some hinges. I'm basically going to attach the sides of the build to the main monitor part using some hinges. So they're basically just gonna like sit here so they can fold in and out. And once that's done, that's all of the hardware. And then I can get onto the fun stuff, which is decorating. So yeah, lots left to do. let's get it. Let's go. Let's get it. I started with cutting out little holes for the magnets to go in. After that, I basically hot glued them into place. Thankfully, the magnets were not too strong, so they didn't like pull the hot glue out of their place, which made my life a lot easier having to just glue it once and then be done with it. After testing the back, I realized that this will probably work, and I moved on to doing the rest of them and attaching the hinges. I realized that the hinges would have to reach pretty far and that the screws weren't long enough, so I added some extra foam board cutouts to the wings of the DM screen so that the screws had something to screw into. I'm honestly really liking how this is looking. There's a lot I need to fix and change. Mainly this side was cut a bit too short. This side is pretty good. Like, it stands up by itself. It just tilts really badly on this side. So I'm gonna add basically another like level, another like little bit to the bottom here so that it stands up straight because the top matches up pretty well. Um, so yeah, it folds down. The screen stays in place even. Uh, like it looks really good. How it's gonna like transport and stuff. Basically these guys fold in when the screen isn't in it, so it's a bit thicker than your regular DM screen, but I think it looks pretty freaking cool. So I'm gonna go on and just add a little bit of details here and there so that it sits nice and straight, and then I'm gonna get into carving out some XPF foam, which I'm pretty excited about. So yeah, let's go do that. This was honestly one of the most time consuming things I have ever done in my entire life. I am so used to carving out of EVA foam that I thought, oh yeah, XPF foam, that'll be easy. It wasn't. It took me so much time to try to bevel edges, try to cut through it because my knife isn't good and it wasn't long enough, so I had to go through every cut like twice, and it was just a pain. But my god, did it end up looking cool. I decided to cut out 4 main pillars, sort of inspired by like Greek columns, and use those as sort of a framing tool. I then cut out some little hats for them for the top of the pillars so that they looked more cohesive. I also added some columns in the middle of the board, so that gave some more framing for the windows that I eventually put on. And honestly, I did not think this would take as long as it did. You can see by the sunlight coming through the gap in my window just how long this whole process took me. I went to PAX, if you couldn't tell by my shirt, recently, and I got some already pre-textured EVA foam sheets from Lumen's workshop, and honestly, they came in clutch. They were so useful for doing this because instead of having to go through and add texture to every single panel by cutting out more XPF or EVA foam, all I had to do was cut out some already pre-textured sheets, which saved so much time because I could not imagine doing that individually because this would have taken me at least 2 weeks if that was the case. So doing that was a pretty smart move. I also added a whole bunch of just like singularly cut XPF foam to the bottom of the front of the screen so that it looked more like rubble from where the portal has like sort of been collapsing. I also did that on the rest of the columns to just give them some more dimension. Alright, this is how we're looking. I've added a whole bunch of stones around, like rubble, I guess, around the pillars, because I thought that made it look really cool. Added a whole bunch of textured foam. I've just got to stick some windows onto the side, like here-ish. And then I've got some more textured foam that's like a brick sort of pattern that I'm going to put around where the screen's going to go. So hopefully that looks cool. I'm honestly really liking how this is turning out. but I'm pretty happy with how this is looking right now. It's not perfect and there's like bits sort of, just a little bit off here and there, but I think it's looking pretty cool. Um, yeah, I'm pretty stoked. I'm gonna do the front with that textured foam, and then it's the fun part. I can finally start painting. That should hopefully bring this whole thing to life. So yeah, let's go. I cut out and added all of the brick textured foam that I had gotten from Lumen's workshop. Again, I absolutely love them. They're a great cosplay material store. Please go check them out. They are amazing and they're Australian owned, so it's fantastic. I also started individually painting different like stones and bricks, different colors, and adding a dark wash to them so that the bricks didn't look too uniform. Then I pretty much gave everything a dark wash, which is basically paint way watered down with a little bit of soap in it. I don't know why, I just remember hearing that somewhere and it seems to work. Basically dabbing all of the excess off with a cloth. So then it's got some nice shadows. I then also give everything a little dry brush to highlight it, but my camera died again, so I didn't get that. I also added some fake moss that I made by blending up a sponge and painting, and I think it looks pretty cool. Alright, and that is my Fantasy Portal DM screen with a built-in monitor. I absolutely love this. I can change whatever's on the front of it. Like I just think it's so freaking cool. I love how the moss made it look all sort of like earthy and like more ruined than it did before. I still love the range of motion that it has, and how when it's like actually set up, you can't really see through the gaps. I was experimenting with like little bits of paper to like go behind there to block it, but I don't necessarily think it needs it. Um, I love how it completely hides my laptop. So yeah, I love it. I think it's amazing. Yeah, it only took me like 3 or 4 days, so 2 or 3 days? 2 or 3 days to 3 days, I think, to make this whole thing, and I just think it looks amazing. I cannot wait to show this to my players. Um, so yeah, this is the final result.